Despite the dramatic reforms of Diocletian and Constantine, Rome's recovery proved only temporary. The structures they built slowed the empire's collapse, but they did not resolve its deepest problems. When Constantine died in 337 CE, the Roman world once again drifted toward instability, and this time the pressures proved overwhelming. By the mid-4th century, the empire faced a challenge unlike any it had encountered before. Along Rome's vast frontiers, Germanic peoples began moving into imperial territory in unprecedented numbers. These were no longer small raiding parties or isolated groups seeking settlement under Roman authority. Entire communities, warriors, families, and leaders pressed against Roman borders, driven by warfare, environmental stress, and, most critically, the westward advance of the Huns. The Roman government responded inconsistently. At times, these groups were admitted as foederati, allies settled within the empire in exchange for military service. At other times, officials attempted to expel or suppress them. Corruption, mismanagement, and brutality by Roman administrators often turned desperate refugees into hostile enemies. The result was growing instability, resentment, and violence. The crisis came to a head in 378 CE at the Battle of Adrianople. In the Balkans, Emperor Valens led a Roman army against the Visigoths. It ended in disaster. Gothic cavalry shattered the Roman legions, and Valens himself was killed on the battlefield, the first Roman emperor to fall to a foreign enemy in centuries. More important than the defeat itself was what it revealed. Rome could no longer reliably control the Germanic world by force. The balance of power had shifted. From that point forward, the Roman state increasingly relied on Germanic soldiers and generals to defend its borders. The army remained formidable, but it was no longer fully Roman. Power flowed through personal loyalty rather than institutional command, and military authority drifted away from the emperors themselves. The psychological shock of this transformation became unmistakable in 410 CE, when the city of Rome was captured and sacked by the Visigoths under their leader Alaric. Rome had not fallen to a foreign enemy in nearly 800 years. Though no longer the empire's capital and of limited strategic importance, Rome remained the symbolic heart of the Roman world. To many contemporaries, its sack felt like the end of civilization itself. Yet the Western Roman Empire did not vanish immediately. It staggered on for several more decades, ruled in practice by powerful Germanic generals who governed in the emperor's name. Finally, in 476 CE, a Germanic warlord deposed the last Western emperor, a child named Romulus Augustulus. He was not executed or exiled, merely sent into retirement. With that quiet gesture, the Western Roman Empire came to an end. Historians traditionally mark 476 CE as the fall of the Roman Empire, but this is both misleading and incomplete. What fell was only the Western Empire. The Roman Empire itself did not end. In the East, it survived and flourished. Centered on Constantinople, the Eastern Roman Empire endured for nearly 1,000 more years. Modern historians call it the Byzantine Empire, but its inhabitants never used that name. They called themselves Romaioi, Romans, and they were correct. Their state was the direct continuation of Roman political authority. When Constantine moved the imperial capital to Constantinople in 330 CE, he shifted the center of gravity from the Latin-speaking West to the Greek-speaking East. Over time, Greek became the empire's dominant spoken language, especially after the 7th century. Yet, Roman law remained the foundation of governance. Latin persisted as the language of legal authority, and Roman institutions, citizenship, and administrative practices endured. The clearest expression of this continuity came under Emperor Justinian in the 6th century. Justinian ordered the compilation and codification of Roman law into the Corpus Juris Civilis. This monumental legal work preserved centuries of Roman jurisprudence and remains one of the most influential legal texts in history. Modern European legal systems still rest in part on its foundations. Culturally, the Eastern Empire acted as a guardian of classical civilization. Although pagan philosophical schools were eventually closed, Byzantine scholars preserved and copied ancient Greek and Roman texts. Without them, the works of Homer, Herodotus, Thucydides, and many others would likely have vanished in the chaos of the early Middle Ages. Thus, while Rome fell in the west, Roman civilization endured in the east. Meanwhile, in the former western provinces, Roman life did not disappear overnight. Germanic kings ruled lands filled overwhelmingly with Roman populations, and they quickly realized that they could not govern without Roman cooperation. Instead of erasing Roman civilization, they adapted it. They converted to Christianity, employed Roman administrators, issued written laws influenced by Roman legal traditions, and preserved local institutions wherever possible. Over time, these rulers became Roman in everything but ancestry. The most famous of them was Charlemagne, king of the Franks. In 800 CE, he traveled to Rome, where the Pope crowned him Emperor of the Romans. The act revealed a powerful truth. Even centuries after the Western Empire's fall, Roman authority remained the ultimate symbol of legitimacy, order, and power. Rome had fallen, but it had not truly ended. Throughout the Middle Ages, people looked back nostalgically to Rome as a golden age of stability and civilization. Two of the most important medieval systems emerged directly from late Roman and Germanic Roman traditions. Manorialism, the dominant medieval economic system, grew out of the large agricultural estates of the late Roman Empire. Diocletian's requirement that farmers remain on the land created hereditary agricultural labor, an early precursor to medieval serfdom. In a world of insecurity, this system provided a measure of economic stability. Feudalism, the medieval political system, blended Germanic and Roman traditions. It combined the Germanic comitatus, the personal bond between a war leader and his followers, with the Roman patron-client relationship of protection and obligation. From this fusion emerged the medieval relationships between lords and vassals, kings and nobles, and warriors bound by oath and service. Above all, the Christian Church became the greatest preserver of Roman culture. Latin remained the language of worship, administration, and education, ensuring its survival for more than a millennium. Church institutions inherited Roman titles, rituals, architecture, law, philosophy, and educational traditions. Even the title Pontifex Maximus, now associated with the Pope, originated as the title of Rome's chief pagan priest. So, did Rome really fall? In many ways, it did not. It changed, adapted, and transformed. The Eastern Empire endured until 1453 CE. The West adopted Roman law, language, religion, architecture, and political ideals. Roman culture shaped medieval Europe and continues to influence the modern world. Look at modern government buildings and see Rome in stone. Compare the Louisiana Civil Code to Justinian's Corpus Juris Civilis. Watch modern sports spectacles and glimpse echoes of ancient Roman games. Rome fell, but Rome also survived.